Star Wars: The Force Awakens is the 7th film in the saga and directed by J.J. Abrams, and it stars Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, and many more. Now before I get into this review, I just want to say it is 100% spoiler free. I will be posting a spoilers review sometime next week. I myself am a huge Star Wars fan, and the last thing I would want to do is ruin it for someone else. So do not worry, you are safe with me. In the film, Finn, played by John Boyega, is a stormtrooper who leaves the First Order and goes to the planet Jakku. There he meets Rey, a scavenger played by Daisy Ridley. The two set off on an adventure that eventually leads them to Han Solo. Now I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I, like many of you, grew up watching and loving the original trilogy. So I think it's safe to say that I have never been more excited for a movie in my entire life. And I am thrilled to say that this film did live up to my expectations because it was amazing. And Star Wars is back. Daisy Ridley was incredible as Rey, and she stole the film. She gave such a real performance, and because Ridley was basically unknown before this film began, it was so easy to see her as this character. On top of that, she is a badass who can fend for herself, and it was so refreshing to see a female character portrayed this way. I also loved the journey that Rey took throughout this film and thought her character was developed so well. John Boyega is also amazing, and he gives a wonderful performance. In the beginning, when he is wearing a mask, you can actually feel his emotions and what he is thinking. Again, just a very real performance, and his character too has a great arc, and it really helps humanize stormtroopers. Like Ridley, Boyega was basically unknown as well, so right away you buy into him as Finn. The friendship between Finn and Rey that develops is very heartwarming, and the two actors had great chemistry together. Adam Driver as the main villain, Kylo Ren, was again amazing. And before seeing this film, I, like many others, was worried he was basically going to be a rehash of Vader, and he is not at all. You are able to connect with his character and understand why he thinks what he is doing is right. And also, he's a very complex character with layers, and that makes him such a good villain. Like Kylo Ren, BB-8 was a character I was worried about being too cute and maybe annoying. And no, he was perfect. He is cute, but just the right amount. And like R2-D2, they did a great job at portraying his emotions. I loved Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron. He was so cool. He's a very confident but not cocky character who I really hope we see more of in Episode 8. Domhnall Gleeson was also great as General Hux, and you really love to hate this guy. And also his relationship with Kylo Ren is really enjoyable to watch. For returning characters, Han Solo was awesome. Harrison Ford gave such a good performance as you don't see him acting as Han. Once again, he is Han Solo. What I loved most about the character is he is who you'd expect Han to be after living 30 more years of life. So he is more wise and hardened, but still a smooth-talking, confident guy. His relationship with Chewie is still great as usual, and the banter between the two of them is so good. Leia was also great, and she too had developed after 30 years. And her relationship with Han was handled beautifully. What I also loved about Han and Leia was the fact that they weren't just thrown in there for nostalgic reasons. They were actually important to the plot. And they also worked really well with these new characters. Luke Skywalker. Now, because there is such mystery behind where he is and whether or not he's alive, there is nothing safe for me to say about him. J.J. Abrams. Considering the pressure he was under and what he had to do to set up this trilogy and everything that could have gone wrong, he did a fantastic job. He overall was great at giving you nostalgic moments and paying homage to the original trilogy, but not giving you too much. The pacing in this film was perfect, and it is a pace you would expect from a Star Wars film. The plot is always moving and you barely have a moment to breathe, which easily could have been a bad thing. But Abrams picks the right moments to linger on and allows the audience to absorb what they are seeing. The action was also great, and he did a really good job at balancing the land and space battles. The lightsaber battles were awesome, and they weren't over choreographed like the prequels, which made them very realistic and suspenseful. Finally, one aspect I really loved that Abrams added was humor. Yes, the original trilogy did have some humor, but very little. And while the prequels had a lot of humor, it wasn't funny. just annoying. I found by adding humor, it allowed the audience to take a quick break from all the action and drama, and he added just the right amount of humor. Now, as much as I enjoyed this film, there were a couple of flaws. But if you look hard enough, you can find a flaw in virtually every film. Even the original trilogy has a couple of flaws. But we still love them. Supreme Leader Snoke. Yes, he's evil, but you never really feel threatened by him. And I think that's because the film is so heavy on practical effects and characters, and because Snoke is CGI, he really sticks out and feels less real. There is one new character, and I won't say who, that I was really looking forward to, and they are barely in the film. Now, as I said, this film pays a lot of homage to the original trilogy, and for the most part it never felt like too much, except for the climax. It is very familiar to a previous film, even down to the specifics of what they need to do. Finally, there is something that happens in the third act that is very convenient for the plot, and there is no explanation as to why it could not have happened earlier in the film. Overall, I love this film, and I cannot wait to see it again. But I will say this, unlike the prequels, this film does not tie everything up with a little bow. Yes, it answers some of your questions, but you leave with just as many new ones. When I left the theater, I thought this was probably very similar as to how people felt after seeing episode 4 and 5. Luckily for us, we only have to wait a year and a half, not 3. I am going to give Star Wars The Force Awakens an A. If you saw the film, please let me know in the comments your spoiler-free thoughts. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please click here to see more.